Hello all, and thank you so much for coming today. My name is Avery. Most of us go about our day thinking about the next assessment or what's for lunch, but every one of our actions, especially the ones we're not thinking about, are damaging our planet. From the car or school bus you took here today to the very concrete that Marlborough is built on, greenhouse gases are being emitted into the atmosphere. Greenhouse gases are the driving force of climate change. They are a result of people burning fossil fuels such as coal and oil for energy. Greenhouse gases accumulate in the atmosphere for many centuries, trapping and releasing heat. A carbon footprint measures the total volume of emissions by a person, product, or an entire industry. The larger the footprint, the greater the impact on the environment. A carbon footprint doesn't just measure the greenhouse gases emitted by the final product, but the process as well, including the factory line and the transportation. It's important for large industries to measure their carbon footprint so they can identify their highest emission source and implement emission reduction strategies. Concrete is the most used human-made commodity in the world. In terms of general commodities, it is second only to water. I don't know about you guys, but that was pretty surprising to me until I really thought about it and realized concrete is all around us. Concrete is made up of a paste of Portland cement and water, which then binds with fine and coarse aggregates. To first make cement, raw materials such as limestone are extracted from the earth using heavy blasting machinery. These raw materials are then transported to a crusher where they're grinded into gravel-like sized pieces, and then they're placed in a mixing bay to create a uniform blend. This blend is then transported to a production factory where it's placed in a kiln that can reach 1400 degrees Celsius. Under this heat, the raw materials liquefy and undergo a chemical calcination process. Once cooled, the product is a marble-like sized clinker. These clinkers are then taken to a grinder where they're grinded into a fine powder that is shipped and distributed. As you might have noticed, there's a lot of heavy machinery, transportation, and power required to make cement, all of which is burning fossil fuels and contributing to cement's carbon footprint. The global production of cement is 4.5 billion tons, so you can imagine a lot of CO2 is produced from that. 1.6 billion tons, in fact, in 2022. That's almost 8% of the global CO2 emissions just coming from cement. In fact, it's said that if the cement industry were a country, it would be the third or fourth largest emitter of CO2. So let's do a breakdown of the percent of total CO2 emissions per each step of the cement process. 3% comes from the electric power required for the raw mill, the quarry, the crusher, and the transport. The largest portion of emissions from the cement process comes from the chemical calcination process. Calcination occurs when limestone, which is calcium carbonate, undergoes heat. The calcium carbonate breaks into CO2 and calcium oxide, which are the clinkers. This one reaction accounts for more than 50% of the total emissions of CO2 from the cement process. 34% of the emissions comes from burning fossil fuels to heat the precalcinator and the kiln, and the remaining 12% comes from electric power for the cooler, cement mill, and transportation. My research is working to reduce the CO2 emissions of the chemical calcination process, this large portion of the chart here, through substituting materials within clinkers to provide an alternative low-carbon approach to making traditional cement. What may seem like a small change has a significant impact on the emissions of CO2 globally. Many materials we rely on, like cement, are contributing to the climate crisis, but they all have the potential for change. By rethinking the way we build today, we can lay the foundation for a cleaner, more sustainable tomorrow. Thank you.